Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the triumphant return to the DLF Trade Show and the DLF YouTube channel. I have to be honest, I don't know how many weeks we missed because I know we recorded multiple episodes at one point, and I don't remember how long ago that was anymore.
The last month has been a blur, so honestly, I have no idea either.
Right, and my kids are, I almost said 7 and 9, but they're 9 and 11. Just to show you that time doesn't get any better as time goes on. It is still a blur. I have no idea.
Excellent. Yeah, you almost missed like 2 years there. Just gone. Well, it was the pandemic 2 years. Those were a blur. So
I don't want to relive those. No, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. But that's what we're doing. We are going to keep moving forward on the DLF Trade on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ and Addison back again, using the DLF Trade Finder, the DLF Trade Analyzer, to find some real life trades, give you some real life analysis for you to make some real life trades of your own. And I'm feeling this thing that's going on right now. I'm feeling the energy. I miss this. It's been a while. And just because to show you things never change, Addison messages me this morning, sends me that Wednesday GIF, and I'm like, we back? And he's like, we back. And then I'm like, do you have any ideas? And he's like, nope. So an hour or so goes by, and he just messaged me, who are 3 players you want to buy right now? So I give him 3 players. And as usual, I open up the show sheet and I don't scroll. And the first player is one of the players I listed. So I'm very curious to see if he just took the 3 players I listed or if he I contributed at all to this.
I added one of mine. 2 of them are yours and one of them's mine.
All right. Well, the first one that we are going to talk about today is Dak Prescott. And I am, every day that goes by, finding out that people are just lower and lower on Dak Prescott for seemingly no reason whatsoever. Through multiple streaks over multiple seasons, he has shown the ability to not need that rushing floor that all the other top tier quarterbacks have, and still finish as a top 5-6 quarterback. And there's no reason for that to really ever change. And I'm in, and I don't know. Like, I'm in on Dak Prescott, and for what his price seems to be, which seems to be pretty low most of the time. Like, we had a trade in the Trade Addicts podcast that we talked about on the show, which might be out by the time this comes out. Depends how lazy I am. But someone traded, hold on. I'm going to scroll a little bit. Okay. We don't talk about it here. Someone traded Dak Prescott and Cooper Kupp to get Jordan Love. Now, yikes. I will say this trade was between 2 Packers fans. So Jordan Love's value was probably bolstered a little by that. But the fact that you needed to add to get from Dak to Jordan Love was beyond me. Again, go get your guy. If you're in this situation, you're a Packers fan, you want Jordan Love, you have Dak Prescott, and you have to throw in the equivalent of a mid-early second, which is all Cooper Kupp really is. Go do that. Absolutely go do that. But yeah, extra player was on the wrong side of that for me. But we're going to get into the trades that Addison has actually pulled and has actually run through the analyzer, and we'll see how we feel about it. 12-team Superflex. We have big boy trade. Dak Prescott, Brandon Ayuk, and Jake Ferguson for Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott, 6'11", Brandon Ayuk, 461, Jake Ferguson, 76 for a total of 1148. Jalen Hurts, 921.4 by himself. So we have this fits the requirements for a trade for us. 3 for 1, overpaying. Stud on one side, overpaying. And we're overpaying by like a decent amount. Like, we're looking at 220 points in the analyzer, which is not nothing. I mean, to spoil alert a little bit, that's a little more than Josh Jacobs, because he's on the screen and worth almost that much points in the next trade. Okay. So let me start by saying, if you find yourself in a situation where some of your wide receivers aged out, or you had Darren Waller as your only tight end and he retired, and so I'm just trying to, that you needed these specific things. Like, if you needed to break down your stud of Jalen Hurts, I think this is a great get. I really like Dak Prescott. his dynasty value at this point seems like he's going to be the new Kirk Cousins, though his value hasn't fallen that low yet, where his fantasy value will always outweigh his dynasty value. Like, he will score more points than his dynasty value shows that he might. Brandon Ayuk, I'm a fan of Brandon Ayuk. And one of two things are going to happen. San Francisco is going to pay him a lot of money, and they'll probably throw him the ball enough to make up for the amounts of money they just gave him. Or he's going to go to a new team, and they're going to throw him the ball a lot because they paid him a lot of money to be there. And Jake Ferguson is one of the players that Dak likes throwing to a tight end. That's just the way it is. And Jake Ferguson happens to be their tight end. Their tight ends usually aren't anything athletically special. And Jake Ferguson kind of falls into that. But it doesn't matter because he's the Cowboys tight end. It's the same thing with like Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin. Was that guy's name that we wanted to be a thing, but never really happened anyway? Like, if you're the Cowboys tight end, you're going to be getting some targets. And that's what Jake Ferguson is right now. So I like this. And then also the other way around, if you have good wide receiver depth and you have another tight end to start, like, I think I'd pay this to go get Jalen Hurts, who has QB1 upside, like the QB1 upside. So I really like this trade in both directions.
I really struggle to find a scenario where you want to trade up for Jalen Hurts, to just like take all these pieces and just go get Jalen Hurts. Like, you have to be beyond stacked or a super short starting lineup.
Yeah, like if this is start 9, you're not starting Ferguson, and yeah, you're starting Ayuk, but maybe you have 3 other very good wide receivers. Like,
yeah,
again, like, this is something you need to be in a specific situation to do, and that isn't going to be most teams. But if you are, like, I think I do like going and getting that stud. Like, honestly, like, if this was a 1 QB league, this is the exact move I would do. Like, to go not just for Hurts because, you know, it's 1 QB and that, but like to be able to take that good QB and get a great QB. Like, I like that move, but in Superflex, with the values being what they are, it needs to be a very specific situation.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is something that I would love to do with a lot of the more elite quarterbacks, especially if you have like 2 of them. Like, if you went just at a startup, had 2 elite guys, being able to trade down to a Dak Prescott, who would be your QB2, but is a QB1 in and of himself, like as a scorer.
Yes.
You get Brandon Ayuk. I like the stack with Jake Ferguson as a tight end. He's one of the guys that I mean, he might be like the tight end that I want if you don't have like a top 5 or 6 guy, essentially. Like, it's like Jake Ferguson's like who I'm really aiming to get instead of like Njoku or Goddard or Freiermuth, whoever else it ends up being. So I love this. I love going to get Dak Prescott. Do you want to take a guess on his KTC QB ranking right now?
It's going to be like 14 or 15.
It is 15.
Yeah. Like, it's going to be stupid. It's going to be ridiculous for no reason. And he's only 30. Yeah. Like, he feels old because of how young a lot of these quarterbacks are, but he's still young for QB age.
Well, he's going to be 31 at the end of the month. So, so he won't be young anymore. So he'll be 31.
Oh, that you're right. All right, so let's go on to this next one because we've already talked about a bunch of these players. All right, so still 12-team Superflex. It is Dak Prescott and Saquon Barkley for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs, and Daniel Jones. Talk about a QB downgrade. All right, so Dak Prescott, 6'11", Saquon Barkley, 407 for a total of 1017.8. Caution, Team B is giving up the highest value asset and the most pieces in the deal, because Amon-Ra St. Brown, 771. Josh Jacobs, 217. Daniel Jones, 72.2 for a total of 1059. I'm of the kind of mind where, assuming you have an active enough league, don't worry about positions in July. So I'm fine trading away a quarterback and not getting one back if it's worth it. But like I said before, you're sort of getting one back, but let's face it, you're not really getting a quarterback back when you're trading away Dak Prescott for Daniel Jones, in which case this is a little too close for me. Like, in my mind, this makes it seem like someone thought Saquon and Josh Jacobs were an even swap. and to me, they're not. Like that's what this value feels like, and it's really not for me. Like to me, this is Dak and Saquon because, yeah, I have said on this show, I've come to the conclusion, I don't know what other words there are, but St. Brown is a tier 1 wide receiver for me. Like he is up there with Chase, Jefferson, and Lamb. Easy. Like those are my top 4. Put them in whatever order you want, but they're all up there. But I think Dak is enough of a producing asset at quarterback, which is a premier position, that I don't know how different their value really is. Like they're 160 points apart from each other, which feels crazy. Their ADP is 2 spots apart. Like, I don't know. Like to me, Dak and Amon-Ra could probably be a cross-off on their own. And I would rather have Saquon over Josh Jacobs and Daniel Jones.
That's basically the way I viewed it. If we removed the running backs from this and just made it Dak for Amon-Ra and Daniel Jones, does that change your answer? Like, are you more intrigued to give up the quarterback in that instance?
Yeah. I mean, that makes it, like I said, crossing the 2 of them off seems good enough.
You get a starter. Like, it might not be a good starter, but like you get a starter who has some upside. Like he now has Malik Neighbors, who, I mean, if Jones throws a 5-yard slant to Neighbors and he takes it to the house,
you get those points.
That's a 75-yard passing touchdown for Daniel Jones, of which he did basically nothing. But
hey, man, that's like the Eli Manning special. Don't forget that OBJ made Eli Manning look good, but when Eli Manning couldn't throw the ball anymore. Exactly. Again, like okay. I'm going to split this into 2 statements. My feelings and what the feelings of the rest of the world probably are. I think Dak and Amon-Ra are probably even. So, yeah, I'd probably be fine doing that. I feel like a lot of the world probably agrees at this point that Amon-Ra is worth more than Dak. So even if it is just Daniel Jones being that throw-in to say you're getting a quarterback back, also, I think they would want something on top of Dak to send away St. Brown. So apparently we're talking about Rhamondre Stevenson. That's the person you decided to throw in here?
Yes.
Tell me why people should go buy Rhamondre Stevenson.
Because people forget 2022. They saw what happened last year. They saw that Rhamondre was dealing with injuries. Zeke Elliott was on the team, blah, blah, blah. But he just got paid, and he's the starting running back for a team that does not have very many weapons. This is kind of like, I had a similar argument for Javonte prior to the draft, where I was like, we're probably going to have a rookie quarterback come in here. The receiving core is kind of bleh. And so Javonte had and probably still has, in my opinion, a shot at being the most talented player on that offense. And so that offense could run through him. I think Rhamondre is in a very similar situation. I think you can, if you're a big Jalen Polk fan, maybe you say, well, Rhamondre and Jalen Polk are pretty similar. But I think Rhamondre is the most talented guy on that offense, skill position wise, to where that offense is probably going to flow through him pretty significantly. I think that he's going to be a workhorse running back. He's going to see a lot of receiving volume as well. I think people are just forgetting that Rhamondre Stevenson could be like a back-end RB1 because he's being valued as a back-end RB2.
If that's the case, then I agree with you that, okay, well, let's first of all, I believe he's still on the team, but if there's a healthy Kendrick Bourne, I think we know who the stud on that team is.
Is he still on the team?
I'm not sure, but I just don't want
healthy. That's the other question.
I just don't want that disrespect out there. Yeah, no, like I get it, and you're right. And also, while it's still a little bit of Bill Belichick's team, it's not Bill Belichick's team anymore. We don't know they're going to be annoyingly platooning running backs, especially when they're not known for paying running backs that aren't named James White.
Well, there aren't running backs on that depth chart. I mean, the RB. Well, I guess Antonio Gibson signed with him, but I don't think Gibson's really going to take over Rhamondre's work. He couldn't beat out Brian Robinson, and they replaced him with Austin Eckler. Then you have JaMychal Hasty and Kevin Harris. Like, he has no real competition. And as I say that, there's going to be Gibson fans in the comments saying that he has massive competition. And I, as a Gibson fan, believe that Gibson is a lot better. But a lot of people have thrown Gibson under the, like, just by the wayside.
No, he
So if
needed
you
the
believe
fresh
he doesn't have
start.
competition,
And I like Gibson enough to hope that the fresh start does something for him. But they're not similar players, Stevenson and Gibson.
Sure.
Stevenson was actually getting decent receiving work in 2022. Like, I remember looking at that. Like, as the season went on, he was catching a lot of passes, which might go away a little bit if Gibson does stay healthy and does do well. But I think I'm with you in saying you're right that he's probably going to control a decent amount of the backfield. Plus, the rest of the Patriots aren't very good, so they'll have the ball a lot because their defense isn't great, and hopefully they give the ball to one of their best players, which you're right might be Rhamondre Stevenson. So let's look at the trades, because that's always the value is really what matters. So 12-team Superflex, Rhamondre Stevenson and Cortland Sutton for Cooper Kupp. Stevenson in at 127, Cortland Sutton 68 for a total of 195. Cooper Kupp 203. So fair enough in the analyzer, just a couple of points apart. I mean, this is your dude. What do you think?
I think that this was an interesting one to start out with like placing his value at Cooper Kupp level for a wide receiver. And of course you have to involve age in here from a dynasty standpoint. But I think that if you need a running back, I think Cooper Kupp is a fair trade person to trade away for a running back like Rhamondre Stevenson. Because I feel like there's been enough time over the past maybe year or so that we've gone from Cooper Kupp being like a staple in your offense, in your starting lineup, to now he's kind of more of like a depth piece, and you probably have better wide receivers, or maybe better dynasty valued wide receivers than Cooper Kupp. That if he is kind of like your wide receiver 3, maybe he's your wide receiver 4, and you need a running back, I think that I would make this trade for Rhamondre. And you are kind of replacing the spot on your roster at wide receiver with Cortland Sutton. Not to say he's going to replace Cooper Kupp's production, but you're at least not one for wanting it. You are getting another wide receiver back. So
yeah, and a lot of this is going to come down to how you feel about Cooper Kupp. Like, do you think that he was just injured last year and he's going to come back and be Cooper Kupp again? You know, is there enough room for Kupp and Puka to be together in the same place? Like, there's a lot that goes into this trade and how you have to kind of value it. I mean, Cortland Sutton scored about 13 points per game. Last game, he was the wide receiver 36, which if you're starting 10 players, absolutely wide receiver 3s have a place on your roster. Sometimes you have to start 3 wide receivers, you know? So like, he's not, like, I agree. Like you said, you are sort of replacing that spot, and you are with someone who you might not feel great about it, but like it's a startable player for sure. So yeah, no, like I think I'm down with this. Like, I do think Cooper Kupp will be better than we showed at the end of last year, because he'll be healthier, Stafford will be healthier, but I don't think we're getting top 5 wide receiver Cooper Kupp anymore anyway. And even if he does start scoring like that, his value is never going to recover to close to what it once was. So like, even if he does start putting up 18 points per game, you're still not going to feel terrible about getting Stevenson, who even at mediocre will be putting up double digits, 12, 14 points a week. Like, yeah, his mediocrity level is low running back 2, but chances are it's going to be a high end running back 2, low end 1 if he does just get the ball. And then Sutton's fine. So like, I like this, you know, in both directions, depending on how you feel. Like, if I do believe that Cooper Kupp is coming back, I'm fine sending Stevenson and Sutton.
Sure.
But I do think if I had to pick one side, it would be the Stevenson and Sutton side. Yeah. Next. 12-team, 1 quarterback, Stevenson for the 112. Now, my brain is sitting here trying to remember what the 112 would be in a 1 quarterback.
It's like the 202-ish, like the early second round range, because Caleb and Daniels probably maybe have gone by then in 1 quarterback. Caleb for sure. So if you just add the other 2 quarterbacks in there, it kind of kicks you into the early second.
So this might be a little bit of a stretch, but Stevenson or Benson for you?
I'll take Stevenson. Benson, I really, really like Benson. His ADP is really, really high right
Is
now.
it getting higher?
It's like top 15. And
Oh,
I think that's just all like hoping that he takes over for Connor, which we've had puff pieces coming out saying that that's not going to happen when Connor's healthy. And it's all a projection that Benson himself can even take on the workload because he didn't have a workload, like he didn't have a massive workload in college. So there's some projection of that as well too. So I'll take Stevenson over Trey Benson.
yeah, because after that, you're looking at like Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall, A.D. Mitchell. I think I would just easily take the known in that situation. I'll take the shot at Stevenson. Again, this is something I would need to be on the clock for because, like, I got to be honest, me being who I am and the biases that I have, I'm not the biggest Ladd McConkey fan, but in a PPR league, I would take Ladd over Stevenson.
I would not. Would you take Coleman?
No. I mean, I'm not a Coleman fan in general, so.
What about, well, so you're taking Worthy and BTJ and Brooks,
yes.
all three of them over
Correct.
Stevenson. I would debate Xavier Worthy, but I'd probably end up taking Worthy. But everybody after that, McConkey, Coleman, Leggett, Pearsall, Polk,
like literally the one person. Just because, and again, he's not Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is special. He's that good. But he's walking into that role, assuming that role will even still exist in this offense. But we know he's the kind of player Justin Herbert can technically mesh with. So if that connection does work well, he's going to do well. So, like, I think the ceiling is higher for McConkey than it is for Stevenson. But again, like at that point, we are talking like minuscule. We're talking like literally one player out of this tier of 4 or 5 we just labeled. So technically, I guess I will say I'll take Stevenson over the 112 and just be sad if McConkey fell, and I'll figure another way to get him anyway.
Well, I was going to say the 112 and one quarterback, the chances of Ladd even being there are pretty slim.
I don't have any one quarterback league, so I'm trying to just like make it make sense in my head, and I'm clearly not doing a great job.
He'd be like a top 10 pick.
Yeah, you think so? Again, I haven't done a rookie draft in 2 months and never done
He was 109 in our one quarterback rookie ADP. So
okay, ignore everything I just said anyway because it doesn't matter. So yeah, I'll take the pick. I'll take Stevenson over the pick.
Boom, easy.
This is Stevenson twice.
Would you pay if you were a contender? Would you pay a 25 first for Stevenson?
No, not now.
That's the correct answer. But if
we get let me
one.
So like my thing is it's July, and if I'm a competitor that still has my first, I'm not gonna willy-nilly it around. I'm gonna wait until I need to use it because like that's my insurance in case somebody does get hurt mid-season. And if I am spending my first, it'll be like for the next guy we talk about, someone who I feel like is more of a sure thing and not like a little bit of a, like, again, I think Stevenson will be safe. He absolutely will. So on the teams I build where I only have one running back and I just need him to not lose me a week, yeah, I would have Stevenson on that team and I'd be fine putting him in my running back spot, but that's not something I'm going to pay a first for. Speaking of having seen many, many times that this player is fantastic, the next player we are talking about is Travis Kelce. And like, we don't need to say too much about Travis Kelce. What we will say is that he missed 2-3 games at the beginning of the season, but still pretty much scored as the total points tight end one.
He missed 2 games.
Yeah, and he had a bad season because he wasn't the tight end one by 9 points.
He was 16 yards shy of 1,000 yards. That broke his 1,000-yard streak that he had since 2016. That's really long. Very clearly bad.
But also, like, he wasn't healthy in the beginning, and that offense was stale because they just lacked a lot of pieces to make it function fully. But what do? They get Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, 2 guys that have the ability to play all over the field. Like, these aren't just deep threat guys, but the thing is, they both can be. In which case, you aren't going to have 11 guys in the box anymore because what was their offense last year? Over the middle to Kelce, behind the line of scrimmage to Rashee Rice. That was their offense. They're going to have
Pacheco.
But like now they can have players on both sides of the field that can run down the field very far, very fast, and catch the ball, which was the big problem when they were throwing like MVS out there. Correct. So like I think this offense is going to be able to spread the field a lot more, which they haven't been able to do, which is why it's been so dink and dunk and iffy. And there won't be able to be 3 defenders on Travis Kelce anymore, which there legit was for a lot of last season. It hurt watching because I have the amount of shares I have. So I'm all about getting Travis Kelce right now, and especially because people are soured because of not outscoring the tight end 2 by 9 points per game, and because he's old. All right,
and I think
he's 34. That is even old for a tight end, but still, I don't care.
But I think I said this last summer that if he followed the Tony Gonzalez career arc, that he had like 3 more tight end 1 seasons in him, like 3 more top 3 tight end seasons in him.
Yeah,
so last year was 1, and so then we still have 2 more.
There you go, and that's all you need. Like elite players play to elite ages, and there are plenty of players that I think will play until they'll be good until they decide not to anymore, or until catastrophic injury happens. Like that's the kind of player that Travis Kelce is. It's not that I think he is. That's what he is. He's shown that's what he is. So I am not scared of Kelce's age at all. So let's look at these trades. The first, they're both 12-team Superflex. Man, you just love pulling up some Amon-Ra trades. They're not this one, but the next one. So Travis Kelce in a 25 second for Hawkinson in a 25 third. Interesting. All right. So Kelce 262. The second is 88 for a total of 350. Hawkinson 237. The third 39 for a total of 276. So the analyzer and I have Kelce over Hawkinson. Do you agree?
Dependent on your direction, but yes.
If you're not competing, you can miss the season of Hawkinson and be fine with the fact that he's only 27 years old. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Fair. But also that needs to be said. He's going to miss most of the season and not be all there when he comes back. It'll take time to heal and get back on, get his legs under him. Would you, on a competing team where you lost Hawkinson, would you swap them 1 for 1?
Yes, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I have been pounding the table for that exact move of Hawkinson to somebody else. If you are a contender and your starting tight end, quote unquote, starting tight end is TJ Hawkinson, you need to move off from him and go pivot to someone else and find one of the rebuilding teams in your league that has a Mark Andrews, that has a Travis Kelce, that has really any other top 5-ish kind of tight end, and move TJ Hawkinson because he is not going to help you win a championship this year.
No.
So this to me, like I saw this trade in the Trade Finder and I was like, oh my God, I need to talk about this because this is like chef's kiss. Perfect. Move off of Hawkinson, get Travis Kelce. You're upgrading a future pick from a third to a second. I would even do this if it was flipped. If it was Kelce in a third for Hawk in a second, I would still do that. Like I would add to Hawkinson to go get Kelce if you are that much of a contender because it's Travis freaking Kelce and Hawkinson's probably not going to play until November. So that was my TJ Hawkinson rant on this one because it was so easy to do to talk about Travis Kelce in this.
Yeah. Boom. All right. I don't need to say anymore. You're right. I agree with everything you said. All right. So the next trade is a fun one. It's a big boy trade. We have Puka, Travis Kelce, and Austin Eckler for Amon-Ra St. Brown, the 206, a 25 second, and Cole Kmet. I love that this is another trade where it's like, yeah, we're replacing that position of that piece you gave me, sort of, kind of, almost. But yeah, you lost Kelce, but here's Cole Kmet. You lost Dak Prescott, but here's Daniel Jones.
And they both involved getting Amon-Ra.
There you go. Symmetry. We brought it back. Circular, like a merry-go-round. All right, so Puka 654, Travis Kelce 262, Austin Eckler 91 for a total of 1,008. Caution, Team B giving up the highest value asset of the most pieces in the deal because Amon-Ra, again, the highest valued asset, 771. The 206 at 133, the 25 second at 88, and Cole Kmet at 46 for a total of 1037. All intents and purposes, even enough. So this kind of just almost feels like Puka and Kelce for St. Brown, and then they like dinked and dunked to try and just make them feel good about it.
Puka and Kelce for Amon-Ra and a second.
And it's in one of the seconds. Yeah,
yeah.
Fair enough. I'm good. Like, I would take Puka and Travis Kelce kind of easily. Now, again, do you think Puka's for real? Okay, Puka's not going to make history every single year. Let's call that what it is. Of course, he can't break the rookie record again because he won't be a rookie anymore. But like, is he going to be the next Justin Jefferson? Probably not. It's not a 0% or 100%. It's somewhere in the middle.
You know, the situations are not that far off from each other. It's kind of funny.
I mean, the real only difference is draft capital. And does that even matter anymore?
No, not after what Puka did. No, that doesn't matter.
Exactly. Like, maybe if this is a rebuild and you want to shed that age of Kelce and Eckler, but using Puka to do it feels like the wrong pivot, though you might not have anything else to do. Or if that 206, 25 second and Cole Kmet were like squished together. Okay, so we're talking like in the 250 point range. Mm-hmm. So like, call that JSN or Jonathan Brooks.
The heck was that?
Oh, my smoke detectors are testing themselves. That's was not ready for that mid-center. But like, JSN at 270, Jonathan Brooks at 270, also even George Pickens at 227. Like, if you switch those three pieces out with any one of those, it's a much bigger thought process. And honestly, I might lean St. Brown, depending on if there's a tight end premium or not. But when it's all of those little meh things, give me the very good wide receiver and the really very good tight end. Like, I think I take the Puka Kelce side somewhat easily on this.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head that the issue with this trade is that we have a bunch of little pieces just being aggregated together to make value when it really doesn't add much value to the overall trade, right? Like,
exactly, to your roster, really. Like,
exactly.
So like much needs to happen for these small pieces to be worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. This trade, that is the main issue with this trade, where if you are a contender, I love going from Amon-Ra dropping down, so to speak, to Puka, perhaps, and you get Travis Kelce on top of it. And you didn't really do all that much to even out that trade with some seconds or whatever. Like, as a true contender, you don't care about any of the other four pieces other than Amon-Ra for Puka and Kelce.
Yep.
So that's perfect as a contender. As a rebuilder, I like going from Puka to Amon-Ra. Like, you're not really you're gaining, to be honest with you. I'd rather have Amon-Ra than Puka Nacua. The age, there's a 1 year age difference, but what does that matter? They're both fantastic rebuild options. I love the idea of shedding Travis Kelce. Love obviously shedding away from Austin Eckler. So as a rebuilder, I love the idea. The execution wasn't there. You should be getting more for Kelce and Eckler than a slight wide receiver upgrade and a couple of seconds and whatever the heck Cole Kmet is.
Yeah, like if that was even like a 25 first.
Yeah, that would be so much better than 2 seconds in Kmet. It was Zay Flowers or a first, or Xavier Worthy or somebody like that. Like, it would make so much more sense from a rebuild standpoint for all three of those pieces with Amon-Ra to just
like you're trying to be nice and make it specific, but like, no, like it's just these pieces mean, like, unless you have the kind of league that values these seconds where you can trade those 2 seconds for something worthwhile, which again is absolutely a possibility. Like, I have one dude in one of my leagues that loves thirds and fourths. It's great. Like, so I can package up a couple of thirds and fourths and go get, like my wide receiver 5 or 6 on my team, but still someone I will need when injuries and bye weeks start coming. Like, if you can turn these seconds into a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, if you're lucky, then yeah, sure. It's like, everything needs to be league specific. It absolutely has to be, which makes it tough for us to try and talk general value. But like, I just want to put out there, if someone's sitting there saying like, well, in my league, we could do this, and that's awesome. And if that's the case, do something like this, because if you can turn those seconds into something worthwhile, but in our experience with the leagues we're in, you're not getting anything great for that.
Yep.
So that's the end of our scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
You want to try and do a deal? Do you have time?
Between you and me?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a deal.
All right. So Addison and I are in Trade Addicts 11 together, and he was letting me know that he wants to upgrade his wide receiver position. He has a lot of these wide receivers that are very good. He wants higher tier wide receivers. The problem being, 2 days ago, he traded away T. Higgins, or was that even yesterday? I've been so blinded with rage, I can't remember anymore.
I don't remember, but I got Puka in the deal, so
doesn't do anything for me. So before we started recording, I let him know that I had Jalen Waddle on my team.
Yes, you do.
So, who are
you trying to get from my roster?
Well, I mean,
because I know you love Kenneth Walker.
I don't love Kenneth Walker, especially with my team that is in still pretty decent rebuild. I'm not taking on someone like Kenneth Walker. I think like Tank, Dell, or DK would have to be involved.
Okay. I have the I could share my screen. This is the first time we've ever done this. Let me see. Because I have the DLF Trade Analyzer open, and the League Sync feature is on. Here, does this help?
Oh.
So I have League Sync on for TA11. So there's my roster. There's Russ. Here's all of our assets and everything in here for anybody who's never seen this before. So I just put Jalen Waddle on your side, and we will put Tank Dell on my side in a second. So Kenneth Walker is the suggested addition.
I wasn't ready for that.
That was good. That was good.
Oh,
I love it. I love it so much. So I'm willing to give you Kenneth Walker, but you got to add something on your side.
No, if you're setting me, you could tell by the way I'm talking that if you're sending me Kenneth Walker, I'm not adding anything to that. See, that's the problem here. The problem is your running backs are Tony Pollard, who you just got and who you are high on, Kenneth Walker, who I don't necessarily care about, and your next lowest wide receiver is Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, it's Cooks.
Stop it. I am not swapping Herbert and Kyler. Stop it.
Fine. Not Kyler then. It'll be Caleb.
That's not happening at all.
I tried. I've been trying to get Kyler from Russ for like a month now. I even tried an outhouse challenge trade for it too.
Yeah, but you know, you also forgot the point of an outhouse challenge is to send a trade that Twitter would actually choose the side you're offering.
You want to know a horrible part is I was scrolling through all your outhouse trades on your timeline, and I just came across ours, and I clicked on your side. I casted my vote for your side because I was like, yes, I would like the Kyler Murray side on this one. And then I went, oh crap, I just voted against myself.
Well, fortunately for you, that was not close to coming down to a one vote.
Whatever. I tried. Is there anything else that you would like on the Tank Dell side?
I mean, I need more, but there's not all that much more
on here. Let's go. We'll try, because you said Metcalf would be the other person. So the addition there is Geno, but you don't need quarterbacks.
Who do you value more? Do you value Tank Dell or DK Metcalf more? Put them both on the screen for a second, please.
Okay, sure. I do value DK higher, but I would basically say that the analyzer discrepancy is pretty close in terms of like there's not that much of a difference between the two. But I would prefer Metcalf 1-for-1.
Would you do Dell in a 26 first?
No, because I'm trying to hold on to that 26 first. As
I'll throw my second
insurance policy. No,
I'll give you
we're not doing that.
just to even it out a little bit.
This is the difficulty of you and I trading, because you and I both know each other so well, and we both have very similar philosophies on trading that could probably work for people out there listening. That's like, yeah, you do the I get the first, I'll give you the second kind of thing, that upgrade. But it doesn't work when two people have the same thought.
The thing is, like, and it's funny, like, I would take Geno Smith just to like go QBX style and hope that someone needs a quarterback eventually. But like, I'm sitting here hoping that Geno gets benched for Sam Howell. So that's not really that one. It's that player that's in my way.
Mm.
Like, if you had both of them, I would take both of them and call it a day, but you don't.
It's hard because our teams are kind of, they're not in like different directions, but like we don't have meshing pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We both build teams very similarly. Like you said, we know each other a little too well because we play very similarly, and we've been doing this show for like 16 years at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the base I'm willing to go at right now is Dell in the 26th first for Waddle, and I'll add something to it.
Would you do Dell in a 26 second?
No.
Nothing added on your end?
Because I need that second piece to be.
What if we did this exact trade that's on the screen right now? Is Waddle and Pickens?
Oh, Pickens didn't load yet. I thought you were just going to give me Metcalf and Tank for the two of them. See, no, because I think Pickens has a really good chance of increasing his value this year, and I want to ride that.
Dang it! Because I would say do the same thing, but with BTJ. But I know how you feel about BTJ.
I mean, I know you're not thrilled with the idea of Ladd McConkey, but what about putting him in here instead of Pickens?
I want good players coming back to me if I can.
It's not about being good. It's about scoring points or gaining value.
Of which I think McConkey is not going to do. Both of them.
I can give you Treylon Burks.
Oh, that's tempting. Let me tell you.
In our points per bloodline league, I'll give you Brendan Rice.
Oh, all right.
Oh, man. I have Treylon Burks and Quentin Johnston on the same roster. That just hurts my feelings.
I feel so bad for you. I'm sorry.
And Juju Smith-Schuster. Why do I keep getting so many junk calls?
I have an interesting trade offer for you.
Love it. Let's go.
Would you do Tank Dell and my 26 first? No. Was that what it was in my head? Tank Dell, my 26 first and second for Waddle and Rocky's first, which for those of you out there, Rocky's team is...
He came in second place.
Yes.
This past season. No, because if it was 25s, I would say yes. It's 26, which too much can happen in between. So I'm not going to play that game that they might swap.
All right. Because I was thinking that was like a super late first, potentially the 112.
Yeah, Rocky. But also Rocky builds really old teams, so he might age out next year and have to rebuild, in which case I hold the key to that.
Yeah, but it's his 25 first, though. So he's not going to rebuild this year.
Oh, I have his 25 and 26 first.
Yeah.
Oops. I mean, still no. Like, I'm not going to do the same year pick swap.
No, it's a 26 first, dude. 26 first and 26 second.
Oh, give
the analyzers completely
5 first. All right, I misheard you. I mean, you see what the analyzer's saying.
That's what I like. Click these buttons. I was like, the analyzer has this is not close whatsoever. But you're thinking about it because there's no.
I mean, all I'm saying is click that button right there. Get rid of that second.
But I just Tank Dell's going to be so much better after Stephon Diggs. He could even be better than Diggs now, which I think he is. I don't mind this overall deal. I just wish that this wasn't a first. I wish I had some other piece.
I'll give you a 25 second, not a 26 second.
You don't have a 25. Oh, yeah, you do.
I have someone else's. I don't have mine.
Yeah, you have somebody else's.
And I have no idea if that team is good or not, just to put it out there.
I don't. I have no idea. I have no idea either. Yeah, they're pretty good. That's a playoff.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's a playoff second. They're the team that I've been trying to get ETN from.
I know that guy's a big Lawrence fan, but I don't know if he's an ETN guy.
I tried to get Lawrence from him too. I was trying to move down from Herbert to Lawrence, or basically swap the two. And he said that he's terrified of Herbert
also, but he and I used to do football card stuff, and we would like fight over Trevor Lawrence cards. Like, so he's a Trevor Lawrence fan. Yeah, I stick with that. Tank Dell and a 26 first for Jalen Waddle and a 25 second. You get the pick. Yeah, it's a round later, but it's a year earlier. It'll gain value faster. You'll be able to do something with it. Look at that. I'm even giving up more value.
Can I sit on this? Can we do this? Toss it in the comments on what side you want on this.
Are we gonna outhouse challenge in the comments?
Are we outhouse challenging the comments?
Are you up for it?
Yeah, let's do it. So, you want to just do it as like a tally in the comments of like
say yes or no.
I want the Waddle side, or I want the Dell side, or then I'll just add
in the comment, pick a side. We'll add it up, and if you, what side are we coming at this from?
What do you mean?
Which side do you need to win for? Because again, like I need to say,
good point.
So you're uncomfortable giving up your side. So if the Jalen Waddle side wins, you accept the trade. So this is your challenge.
Okay, we would that I will.
I sent you this offer. This is an Addison challenge. So if the side I am offering wins, he accepts the trade.
If more people vote for the Jalen Waddle side on this deal, I will accept the trade. In the comments. There we go.
Let me go create a couple of YouTube accounts real quick.
I have a few YouTube accounts from different Gmails from the Betsperts organization.
R. Fisher votes for Waddle. Russell F. votes for Waddle.
This is fun. This will be good. We've never done that before, so I'm interested to see what people think of it.
I'm curious to see how much of that you have to cut out of us just gibbering back and forth for it to be watchable. Though
we'll find out.
I would love for me being me, I would love for that whole thing just to be in there.
It might just stay in there because it's an insight into how both of us kind of approach that trade.
Yeah, I love it. And I hope it goes through. I'm very excited for this. All right. So this has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. We're back and we'll catch you next time.